Yes. It's there. It's not that far. It's not that far from the house. Yes. I mean, the only thing is, I'm pretty sure you can tell. Very close.
Brand new construction, they already have one.
All right.
Hello.
Let me see if the audio will play on the TV.
Oh, so you get them all to agree, yeah.
It should.
Oh. No, definitely not. Hi, how you doing?
I think so.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Let me too. I'll shoot you. So what are they gonna do now?
No.
So his issue is, that, like I said, the 3 twos, each unit is in 3 2. The one tenant that's in there just signed a new lease in October. So you have to keep around for negative, there's no change around. And you can't bump the rent in the second unit to like 4,500 a month, because you're never gonna rent it out, it's the difference. By explaining all of this, blah, 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 and it's like, all right, let's just keep looking, I just want to keep looking, see what's out there. Get a really good deal.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Let's see.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi there.
How are you?
Let's see, Shelley.
Where that Wi-Fi thing went? Wi-Fi antenna.
Antenna?
It used to be on the computer in here. It was like a Wi-Fi adapter.
Only did Shayla? Did I give it to Shayla?
I feel like I did, but then I took it back.
I don't know then.
All right.
If I see it, I'll let you know.
The microphone. All right. Good morning, everyone at home. Well, for now, it's I see a Shelley and a David. So good morning, guys.
Morning.
Welcome to the class. Just as an introduction, my name is Ivan Hernandez. I'm one of the staff trainers at Beaches MLS, the Realtor Association. And I was asked by Courtney to come here and show you a couple of basic items as far as Flex MLS is concerned. Everyone here is a Flex MLS user, right? Okay, so we're going to go over a couple of items. I did check with the staff here as far as how much access you had to the system. And from what I'm told, the majority of you are going to be setting up your own listings, right? So when you get your listings, we're going to look at some small details that you need to keep in mind when you're setting up listings. And then after that, I'm going to show you, or maybe you guys have already maybe figured it out. If not, it'll be a reminder as to how to properly generate searches. We're also going to look at ways that you can design Flex MLS to operate like if it were a spreadsheet so that you can analyze a lot of listings at the same time. And that's going to be very helpful. I'm going to show you how to set up statistics as well. Very important, especially if you're analyzing multiple comparables. And speaking of comparables, Courtney did ask me to give you some pointers as to things that you need to be looking out when you are trying to find those comps. So we're going to do like typically a CMA class, full CMA class is about 2 hours, but I'm going to try to crunch as much as I can in the time allotted. So we're going to have a lot of stuff today. Does anyone have a question, whether it's at home or here, about anything this morning? No?
Not yet.
Courtney, anything you want to add?
No, am I on mute or can you hear me?
We can hear you.
No, but all of that sounds great. So we're really excited.
Yeah, so we should be wrapping up at around 12:30 or so, right around lunchtime. So I should be helpful.
Perfect.
Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna mute everyone, I guess. And if you have a question at home, just go in the chat. I'll be able to see it. Just because there might be since the audio is playing through the TV, there might be an echo. That's the whole reason why. Cool. Okay, so all right. So the first thing that I wanted you guys to know is, has anyone here used Flex MLS on their cell phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. How do you, let me just share the screen. Hold on. How are you guys getting onto the cell phone? Is it through the app?
Yeah.
Flex MLS Pro?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you know that there's an app for your buyers as well, your clients? Yeah, okay. So if you didn't know, the app for them is going to be Flex MLS for home buyers. All they have to do is create a portal account. And then later on, I'm going to go over the benefits of creating that portal account, why it's important for you, because one of the things that you will notice is that when people start using this portal, you're going to have access to everything that they're doing on the website, like picking out favorites. They can even run their own searches in the MLS, and you'll be able to look at what they're searching for. I would strongly suggest that you promote that portal, because quite honestly, if you don't promote it, they're still going to go to third-party websites. They're going to go Realtor.com, Zillows, whatever, and they're going to see a bunch of agents on the left and right-hand side. So it's important that you guys promote that portal. The other thing here is, so you see how the majority of you probably have this screen that you see there. It's just a screen with a bunch of little windows. Did you know that you can customize it? You can personalize this. These are called, if you go here to customize, you're going to be able to set up multiple dashboards so that you can have like a variety of things. Maybe you want to have some tools in here that you use most often. You can do that. One of the things that I've created is, so in the top left corner where you're able to switch out your dashboards, I created a dashboard that just has market statistics. So that is really helpful, especially when you concentrate in an area and you quickly want to know what kind of activity there is in an area. You can create a dashboard with just statistics for that given area. So as you can see here, I set this up as a demo for West Palm Beach, but right away I can just click and change and start seeing that activity in that area. And you can set it as a default if you want. You can do a hybrid one as well. So like I have this one here called Ivan, and I set it up with some statistics, but I also set it up with some of these tools towards the bottom. Let me get rid of the camera there. Hold on. So the question is setting it up. Has anyone set up a custom dashboard here by chance? Did you know that? Okay, cool. So we'll be doing that first. That's one of the ways that Flex MLS can be customized. The easiest way to customize it, you see how at the top I have some tools, and if you're following along, it's very likely that the tools that I have, you don't have. And that's because you guys are able to set up favorites. Because traditionally, if you wanted to use a specific feature, you would go to the menu, and then within the menu, you would click on the option. But I don't know if you've noticed that if you hover over an option, like a little star is going to come up. So if you wanted to set it up here as a favorite, similar to like how you have it on your browser, but in Flex, then you would just go to that option and then click on the star and turn it into gold, the gold star. So now it shows up here. And if you wanted to change the position of it, like for instance, I favored this My Incomplete one, but what if I want to set up My Incomplete all the way up here, right at the beginning of the list? And I would go to reorder. And then from reorder, I'd go to the option, go to the specific option, click and hold, and then drag it to the new location. And then once you're done, once you're happy, you click save. And just like that, you are able to set up favorites. So that is one of the ways that you can customize the system, just to have everything that you want right there with you. If you want to remove something, you can easily just go to reorder and delete it. Or in my opinion, the easiest way is just going by the menu and clicking the option and clicking on the star, and that removes it from there. So you can mix and match as to things that you wanted to set up as favorites. As far as the dashboards are concerned, if you wanted to create a new one, you would always go to customize, and then you would go into dashboards right at the bottom. So you would then hit add, and here's what Flex is going to do. Flex is going to ask you, okay, let me recommend some dashboards with some features that you might like. So for instance, if you want to have like a great first dashboard, it's going to say, all right, I'm going to have for you a list of your contacts. I'm going to have for you something that's called a hot sheet, which I'm going to explain what that is in a moment. Your listings, if you want to keep track of your listings right from the homepage, I'll show you that information, save searches and so on and so forth. If you just wanted to have a dashboard with searches, you can set one just like that, maybe just one for your contacts. Obviously the name of the contact, but also things like messages that they've sent you through maybe the Flex MLS app or through the portal, maybe a history of emails that you've sent them. You can set that up, or like the ones that I showed you earlier, just market statistics, and you can install as many as you want. If you wanted to create your custom one, then you would go to where it says blank and just give it a name. So let's just say my dashboard. Let's do a blank one, and then you click create dashboard. And now here's where Flex is going to show you categories of things that you can add. So add change would be like shortcuts for adding and changing your listings. If you wanted to have shortcuts for managing your contacts, you would go into that category. You could go into maybe listing content so that you can manage your listings or look at listings, searches, so on and so forth. So it's up to you as to what you want to add. Do you have to add these dashboards? No, these are just shortcuts, and you can create as many, but the ones that I personally find use for is the statistical ones, because it's just easy to be able to put an area of interest, and you can have multiple ones. So if I go back to the main screen of Flex, notice how aside from just having West Palm, I have a Fort Lauderdale one. So I can just easily go back and forth. You guys are probably going to have multiple farm areas. So I would recommend that you set up these statistical graphs. Let me set one up for Delray, just so that you know the process of setting up the graphs, because it's not just going here, customizing, and then say, okay, add a dashboard, and then add market stats. You now have to go into each widget or gadgets, that's what they're called, and you have to program them with some sort of geographical area. So for instance, I'm going to start with absorption rate. So I'm going to click on the three dots, and to set each one up, you click on the three dots and then you click on settings. So when you get here, you're just going to enter a location. You could do a zip code, you could do a city, but you can only do one location per widget. Okay, very important. So if you have multiple areas, let's say you like Delray and Boynton, let's say, you're going to want to have multiple of these absorption rate ones, one for each location. So I'm going to go location, Delray, right? I double click it. And then if you wanted to specify an individual property type, you can. Residential, or you can only do one, all right? So that's the same thing. If you are going to do multiple property types, then you're going to have to add one gadget per search criteria. So once I click save, okay, so I have absorption rate for Delray, and you can keep going. You can set each one up with one specific piece of criteria. What happens if you want to have maybe an absorption rate for a different city like Boynton? How do you just add one little window instead of having to add a whole dashboard? You would go up here to customize again, and then you would go where it says add gadgets. And then you click on add gadgets, and then you go through the options here. So I would statistics, and then there's absorption rate. See how the button says add another? It changes. Well, we have another. You can add as many. And then I go, let's see, there you go. So we go back to the dashboard. Watch how it's going to be towards the bottom of the screen once I get there. I wonder why it's going slow. Okay. All right, let me go through here. All right, cool. That helped. Kinda. Thanks, Flex, for making the instructor look better. Hey, guys, we're back on. So we had an internet outage.
Are we back on?
We're back on.
Okay.
I'm using my phone. So,
Oh.
but we're,
Not our internet, his hotspot.
yeah. Okay, so let me go back to the dashboard that I created, my dashboard one. Oh, wait, hold on. I did the market stats one. That's the one where I'm demoing. So here's the other absorption rate. You would do the same process to put the next city that you wanted or the next property class. But what if you want this absorption rate to be next to this one? So you get to move them to wherever you want. Notice how when I go to each title bar, it gives me one of those icons that is an arrow pointing up, pointing down, pointing to the sides. So you would easily go to the title bar, click and hold, and then move it to a new location. You can even change like the layout. Right now it's separated into 3 columns. If you wanted to have it in a different layout, you could go to customize and then you could go to where it says change layout. And then Flex is going to give you options like maybe make something 2 columns or maybe make 1 column more prominent than the other. So you guys pick and choose the way that you want your homepage to show. Now, if you want this homepage to be the one that starts every time that you open up Flex, you simply have to go to customize and then you go to where it says make default. And that's going to set up that process. So lots of customizations. Earlier, we talked about using Flex on a cell phone through the app. If you didn't know, you can get into the Realtor dashboard as if it were a website on a cell phone or even on a tablet. If you ever want to add a listing into MLS from your cell phone, you're going to access Flex MLS as if it were a website because you don't have that option through the app. All right. Any questions so far? Pretty straightforward, just customization for now, but no questions? No? Anyone at home? Maybe? No questions? No, I don't see any in the chat either, so. Okay, cool. Next thing we're gonna talk about is just adding listings. Has anyone here entered listing yet into the MLS? One, you have? How was the process?
Easy.
It was easy? Cool. Cool. Just gonna give you some basic pointers as to things to keep out on, keeping it top of mind when you're adding listings. So obviously you have an added listing. If you want to just create a shortcut, you can. But if you don't have a shortcut, you would go through menu and then there's a dedicated section of just being able to add and modify listings. Once you have a listing into MLS, then to manage it, you would go to change listing. So for instance, maybe change out the pictures. Maybe your seller tells you, hey, we need to lower the price, or maybe you need to change listing remarks. You would go through change listing. And what's going to happen is that you guys are going to see all of your listings here. One thing very important to keep in mind is this option, this dropdown will stay the same as at the last time that you accessed the listing. So let's say that you have a listing under contract. Obviously that would be called pending. But what if you want to manage a listing that is active and you don't see it here on this dropdown? Believe it or not, we get this call a lot at the board. Hey, I can't see my listing. Why isn't it not showing up? That's because you have to go and consciously move the filter to only show you the appropriate status. Okay, very important to keep in mind. You can always pull it up by just typing in the MLS number, but please just watch out for that drop down. Once you're adding a listing, so let's just pretend like we're selling this property. We're going to pretend. The property types that you have, so you have 6 total property types. Anything that is residential in nature, both detached and attached. So that could be a single family home, a condo, a villa, yeah. So those are going to go into residential. That's for sale. Okay. If it happens to be any of those that I mentioned, but for rental, there is a rental category. It's at the very bottom. Residential income. Anyone here knows what those are?
Duplexes, fours.
Yeah, anything that goes up to 4.
It went down again.
Did it?
You're on your hotspot though, so you're.
Yeah, you went down,
The office went down.
but I'm here. Hi, Shelley. She waved hi.
That's awesome. You're the only one.
Okay, we're resetting.
And David is saying, oh, the screen isn't shared right now. Yeah, he's right. I forgot to do that. Hold on, screen there. Yeah, when we went down, we stopped sharing. Cool. Thanks for the reminder. All right. So Couple of property types that people are really aware of. Residential income, as you said, goes up to 4. Remember that after 4 units, it's treated as a commercial venture. Okay, I think that they tell you this in real estate school. Same thing applies with MLS. Land, they can land for residential purposes. If you didn't know, you can repurpose deeded docks in MLS. So let's say, you know, a boat owner that owns a condo, and let's say that that condo building was selling out the deeds for the docks. You can help them out if that's the case to resell that dock, to release that dock. So that could be a little niche in case that you're interested in maybe waterfront type stuff. Businesses, you can sell a full business in MLS. This is the one property class aside from rentals that doesn't require you to have a folio number. So you're not selling real property. Like let's say your broker wanted to sell her brokerage, but she's not selling this building because maybe she doesn't own it. She could resell the building. Common scenarios of businesses that are sold, convenience stores, beauty salons, restaurants. So and a lot of people make really good money just reselling businesses. They actually don't sell real estate. They just go through businesses. So the one thing that the MLS doesn't require, and if you don't know exactly what to do as to how to exchange businesses from one person to another, you try to see if maybe there's coaching in here. We don't do any coaching at the association as far as transferring businesses from one person to the other. But that's something that would be your responsibility, right? Like checking sunbiz.org and things of that nature. So let's go back to the scenario of the 4 units, right? What if you have an investor that says, I want to buy a 10 building or I want to sell a 10 building unit? You would list it as a commercial venture. The one category, commercial industry, pretty straightforward. And then in there, you can add not only buildings, but you can add warehouses, anything that's vacant, that's a commercial structure, you would set it into there. Anyone here specializes in commercial?
No, but I have a question then.
Yeah.
So agents that solely focus on commercial,
Mhm.
they just use the MLS similar, they use the same MLS, right?
Let's
There's
use the
nothing
same
separate.
access,
Just
yeah.
do it under commercial.
Yeah, and here's the other misconception that, so I like to go to real estate schools just so I can get licensees to know what's the next process, just to let them know, hey, there's gonna be a realtor association and your broker's probably gonna ask you to join, whatever. But one thing I'm finding is that people come out of real estate school thinking that they can only practice residential real estate, and that's not true. You can access, your license lets you sell commercial and residential as well, in case that might be something that might interest you later. Yeah, you have that full access there. Rentals, one thing I wanted to mention, okay, mobile homes. You can list mobile homes in MLS. That's something that wasn't the case back in the day, but now it is. But here's the one key thing.
Yeah.
For a mobile home, if you're going to sell a mobile home, 2 requirements: either the land where the mobile home that it's lying on top of belongs to that mobile homeowner. That's one requirement, or could be one of the requirements. If not, then you have to get a license as if you were a vehicle dealership from the
I learned that
DMV.
the hard way.
Me too.
From the DMV,
Land leases.
yeah, from the
I'll never
DMV. So
forget that.
if you don't have either, you could still recommend to the other person to rent them out. No requirements on rentals.
Can't sell it.
You just can't sell it. Because the thing is, so a mobile home is considered a car under the laws of the state. So that's the whole reason why. Yep, exactly. So just keep that in mind.
So,
Yeah.
quick question then,
Yeah.
just to clarify. So a mobile home that owns the land, there's a deed.
There's a deed for the
But
land.
mobile home that has a land lease, there's a title from the DMV, right?
Yeah, and in this case, you're selling real property, so that's where that folio number comes in and the deed comes, the deed transfer. And more than likely, there will still be a title transfer on the actual mobile home. But as far as MLS requirements, if the land is not being sold, you're gonna have to notate within the broker remarks of the listing, your vehicle license number, vehicle dealership license.
So what happens if somebody owns a mobile home and a land lease, but then the land lease ends at, because there's a time frame where eventually that ends. What happens at that point in time?
It's, I mean, it's up to the homeowner what they want to do with the property, right? We in this case would be the mobile home. But yeah. By default, your names are gonna pop up in this section. Okay, I don't have that because of my type of account as an instructor, but that's going to give you the other option. You can set up co-listing agents. Has anyone here, when they added a listing, added a co-listing agent?
Yep.
What's the benefit of doing that? Obviously, if you're pairing up with someone, what's the benefit of adding someone as a co-listing agent? 2 reasons. Anyone know? Credit, so that the other person gets credit for, procuring a seller. But the other reason is if you add a co-listing agent, they're going to have access to modify the listing. So let's say that we're selling a property together, right? And I add you as a co-listing. What's your name?
Sydney.
Sydney. Hey, Sydney, we need to reduce the price on this listing. I'm on the road right now. Can you go into MLS and change? That would be the benefit of adding a co-listing agent, right? Otherwise, you'd have to call here the office, and then Jordana's going to have to make the change for you. So when you get to this stage, this is known as auto population. You can ask Flex MLS to give you a hand with basic details like folio numbers, addresses. You can enter everything manually if you want, but to save time, do the auto population because it also copies things like square footage values that the property appraiser already has. So anyone know the address here? I don't know.
134
134.
Northeast,
So street direction northeast. Yeah.
First Avenue.
Street name first. See, that's a good one. Whenever you have a First Avenue, Second Avenue, the street name is the first because the avenue is called a suffix. All right. So keep that in mind when you're entering listings. And then Del Rey, right?
Yes.
So Palm Beach County. Cool. So as long as you enter the county as a bare minimum, I mean, you can continue entering other data like maybe Del Rey or whatever. But as long as you have a county as a minimum, you can hit this button, populate tax data. See how the parcel ID field is blank? If you know it, enter it. The only thing I would recommend is not to enter it. Reason being is because depending on the county that you're entering the data for, sometimes these counties separate numbers with dashes, and it's possible Flex MLS might not recognize those dashes. So I would, just to keep things as simple as possible, easiest to work, please make sure that you have just the address, leave the parcel ID blank, and then hit populate tax data. And then based on that address, Flex MLS is going to cross-reference with public records, see how it put in the parcel ID of this property. So at that stage, you have to then make a choice as far as this right over here, area. Does anyone know what an area is? MLS area. Think of an MLS area like a real estate zip code. The way that the MLS was back in the day, like the Realtor Association offices, back in the day before computers, real estate agents would do what we're doing here, but on a sheet of paper. And then they would go and turn it into the real estate board. And then the real estate board would make copies of it. So if a buyer's agent needed inventory, they would go to the real estate office, the real estate board office, and they would say, I want the listing sheets for this area. And they would give a code. So those are like real estate zip codes. They're still used by people today. Some people, when they do their searches, they don't say, give me the listings in Del Rey. No, they say, give me the listings in area number 4522. And especially the ones that have been in this business for a while, like if you add a listing, they might say, hey, I'm calling you about your listing at 4522. And you're like, what is that? That's an MLS area. So just so that you understand the lingo that you might come across. But you have to tell Flex where your property is, under which area the property is located. So right here, it tells you your area description. This is going to take you back in time, like how it was back in the day, figure out where you're at in the world. And you're going to have to first select the location. So for instance, here, Palm Beach, we're not in North Palm Beach County. That'd be like Palm Beach Gardens, West Palm, whatever. We're not in the island of Palm Beach. We're more like in the central part of Palm Beach County. So you just click on any of the options and then you start saying, okay, so right now I'm in Atlantic, east of 95, right? But I'm on the north side of Atlantic. I'm not on the south side. So you can just say, okay, Boynton, Hypoluxo, Atlantic Avenue, perfect. Okay, this is the right page. So here, Interstate 95. Are we east or west of Swinton? We're east. So, and we are east or west of Federal. So see how some of the major streets have been labeled and identified. So this is telling us that our MLS area is going to be 4360. And you would then go into Flex, select the option 4360, and then check it from there. So it will require you to do a little bit of where in the world am I, like it was done back in the day. This is a PDF. People have asked me, people have said, can I just use GPS here? I mean, ideally, you'd have to be at the property, adding the listing so that the GPS would figure out where you're at. And we know that PDF doesn't support GPS. So that's where you have to use some old fashioned. It's like blocks. Yeah. Yeah. The realtor boards back in the day, they just got together and they just said, okay, let's separate like this area. Military can't go any north than Boynton, cannot go any south than the canal, and then cannot go any west than the turnpike. Like little zip codes, if you will. But with time, especially if you're just getting started with this, maybe it's your first listing, maybe the first listing might be a little challenging. Feel free to reach out to staff here. I'm sure that they're going to help you. You can also reach out to the board. It doesn't mean that we're going to figure out the location for you, but we can corroborate it for you. So like if you go here, has anyone used the chat? No. So at the bottom right, you have a chat option. Click on the chat option, and then you can ask any questions, MLS question, maybe you have Supra and it's not working, or education event, whatever. So if you say MLS question and you say, hey, I'm entering a listing, I just want to corroborate that the right area for this property is 4360. So a staff member is going to be able to say yes or no. But with time, you guys are going to be able to figure this out pretty easily.
What's the hours of operation for the chat?
Yeah, so it's 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, same as the phone lines. The chat is the only resource of the board that works weekends, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So if anything happens, you need help, chat.
I usually just cross-reference. I look at the most recent listing they have for that property.
Yep.
I find a 4-digit code and then look on the PDF and make sure it matches to make it easier.
You can do it that way. What he's saying is just look at a recent listing. But the one thing that worries me, to be quite honest, is remember the MLS is entered by human beings. So it's subject to error.
Yeah, that's why I didn't go to the PDF and see if it makes sense.
Right.
I know what number I might be
Yeah.
looking for.
Yeah, that also works. Yep. So now that I'm in this stage, I mean, I click next. Let's say that you guys are done working with this listing. Maybe you need to do something or whatever. Please keep in mind, after you go past this step, it's going to want to corroborate the location. It will not let you bypass this. So you just have to say, okay, is this the right location? If it's not the right location, cross this out and then see if maybe the address that you entered is correct, because that's typically the reason why it wouldn't pick out the right location. So I'm going to go click use this location. The system now confirms it. What would you like to continue adding listing? Expired. Yeah. Okay. Continue adding listing. Yeah. See duplicates. Okay. I'm not going to add anything, so it doesn't matter. If you want to just save your work so that you can run something else, and I would say this is my suggestion to you, because I've never trusted computers in all of my life. So every time that you're done with one of these sections, at the top, there is a save incomplete listing option. Just click that just to save a backup, so that in case maybe the power goes out, your computer goes out, whatever, at least there's going to be a backup. Let me see. I didn't add myself, so that's why it gave me that error. Okay, there. Cool. So main fields, saving complete listing. And essentially a listing is just a form that allows you to describe a property. There's going to be some things that are required. There's going to be some things that are not required. If you want to, after you save something and you want to continue working on your listing, there is going to be an option under menu called My Incomplete. And that's where you're going to be able to access any of the properties that you're still kind of working on. So, let's keep working on this listing. Edit. I'm going to click here, edit. And then we go through listing information. You can add your photos from here if you wanted to. So if you already have them, go ahead and enter them. There's no limitations on pictures in Flex MLS. You can add as many pictures as you want, being quite honest with you. Documents. Document is an attachment. You can set up public or private attachments. The idea is that if you ever needed other agent to look at a individual piece of document for that property, you can put it there. Would you upload your listing agreement? No, it's private. Listing agreement is private between the listing broker and the seller. But stuff that you would add would be like seller's disclosures if you wanted to. You could add maybe the floor plans to the home if the property owner already had them. Maybe a homeowners association application. You can upload all of those, and that just makes it easier for the other parties to have whatever it is that you need. Videos, you can record something, upload it there. Typically, what I would recommend is if you shoot a video for your property, you upload it into some sort of service like YouTube or Vimeo, because you can embed it as a virtual tour. And the advantage of doing that is that when buyers are looking at your listing, there's going to be a dedicated link to play that virtual tour. It won't play the video for the buyers. The video, if you upload a video, the video only uploads and can only be seen by users of the MLS. But as far as buyers are concerned, upload it as a virtual tour in one of those services and then just paste the link under the virtual tours area. Okay. Any questions so far? No? Okay. Let me show you something as far as, so anything that you see in red when you're entering a listing is going to be required. You could speed through the process of adding a listing. At the very top, there's something that says show, and you could change this to like required fields only so that you could just speed through the process. I don't recommend doing it. Anyone here has any thoughts as to maybe why I don't recommend it? Potentially, maybe. Turns out that these fields that you're entering will become filters for people that are searching the MLS. So the only downside is that if you, let's say you're selling your property with, let me pick a good example. Okay, let's say that your property has a guest house. Let's say, see how it's not required? See how it's not red? If you don't enter it and someone were to use that as a filter for their search, your property wouldn't come up. So for that reason, I strongly suggest that you go through every field. You ask yourself, do I really need to fill this out? And just know that it could potentially be used as a filter down the road. And if you don't enter it, people are not going to be able to find it should they use that as a filter. There are some fields in here that have like a weird name. Like for instance, if I go to details and let's say I want to specify how much or what kind of financing. Let me find it. Subdivision amenities, restrictions, flooring, where is it? Equipment, appliances. See, like for one of the common examples I give is like, let's say your property is being sold with a washer and a dryer. Some people think that the name of the section on the listing that describes it is called laundry. No, it's called appliances. So some of them, this one might be easy to figure out, but the other example I was going to show you is financing terms, whatever the seller is willing to take for financing. It's not called financing. It's called terms considered. It's just a really weird name that the committee thought about for labeling this into a listing. If you guys ever have any questions as to what each field is requiring you to enter, there is a helpful guide here under MLS compliance. Actually, MLS forms, I'm sorry. And if you go to MLS forms, hold on. Okay, there you go. So under MLS forms, if you go here to where it says data input forms, you can look at an input form. So that's just what we're doing, but as a sheet of paper. Or you can go to where it says Flex MLS guides or Flex MLS index to see descriptions as to what each field is required. Okay, that's just in case that you're not sure. You can call us, or you can chat with us, whatever the case may be. Let's see, let me close this up real quick. Broker distribution, very important that you know this. This is where you tell Flex if it can send the listing online or not. Did you guys know that this is on the listing agreement as well? The standard Florida Realtors listing agreement? Yeah, no. So there's a section where the seller on the form, what's used here at Premier Listings, the Florida Realtors listing agreement, or is there an in-house one?
No, the real.
The Florida Realtors one? Okay. So there's a section within the Florida Realtors listing agreement that asks the seller how much, let's call this dissemination, does the seller want of the list? So meaning how many websites online it reaches, or does the seller only want it to reach the MLS, right? Why would a seller just want it to be on the MLS? Privacy reasons, like maybe you're selling something for a famous person. Maybe they only want realtors to have access to their property. So if that's the case, on the listing agreement, there's something that says seller directs listing to be excluded from the internet. Let me make this a little bigger for you guys to read better. Okay, so you go here. Once you select that, notice how all of these were automatically selected and all of these were automatically deselected. That's because here at the bottom, you can specify which major portals to have the listing on. So you can pick and choose. But in here, because we're pretending that the seller said, hey, just have it on the MLS, now it takes everything out. If the seller says, okay, you know, I want it in the MLS, I also want it online, but I really don't want my address to show up online. So that's where the seller would say seller directs address to be excluded from the internet. There's some people that say, okay, still have it online, but I don't want anyone having my address because I don't know if they're going to drive to my property and start peeking at my address. So you can do that. The only downside with that is that remember that the majority of filters on these third-party websites, let's say Realtor.com, for instance, typically is going to ask a user to enter location information, you know, like a zip code, like a city. If the address is not displayed, the only way to find it online is if that member of the public knows the MLS number of the property, because it's not even going to show up on a map. Okay, so just let the seller know about that. What if the seller says, okay, just have it online, no worries, have it online. I don't mind the address to be in there. But you know those estimates? So you could say, okay, well, I don't want any estimates on my list. The only problem with that is that many of these websites that operate with estimates, they will say, look, our terms of operation require that we have estimates. So for that reason, if you're telling us not to display estimates, we just won't display your list. Okay. So let the seller know, hey, okay, fine. I can go ahead and mark on the listing, no estimates, but very possible that many of these websites will not show your listing. Okay, and the same applies to this one here called seller directs listing not to allow comments. There's some websites that allow members of the public to comment on the list. There's some people that don't like that. So if that's the case, works the same way. There's going to be some websites that will not allow to show those comments. Do you guys know where to pull up a list of how many websites your listing will end up at if you say full exposure? All right, let me show you where this is at. So if you go to a website called listhub.com, once you get into listhub.com, right away, there's a view all publishers link. So if you click on this, it's going to give you all of the websites where your listing is going to end up at. And I'm only halfway through the page, but it even ends up, check this one out. It even ends up on Comcast. If you have the on-demand thing, there's a dedicated Comcast channel for just looking at MLS listings. So this is nice for you to print out, especially before going into a listing presentation. Just say, hey, I have access to all these websites. Just call it your own, whatever. And did everyone at home get that? Yeah. I'll probably just paste a link for the folks on the chat. So here, there, all right. Cool. Anyway, let me do this, cool. Something brand new that was released by the company that makes Flex MLS. It's the ability for you to create floor plans. So, you know, if we were selling this, and maybe I wanted to have floor plans for the property, there's something called create floor plan. It's called flow plan, FLO plan. It will require you to pay for the service. Typically for a person who wanted to have floor plans would be $30. We were able to negotiate with this company and we got it down to $12 for floor plans, complete floor plans of the entire property. And the way that it works is that once you sign up for the floor plan, you download an app. It'll guide you through it. And then what you do is you just take pictures of each room, and then it will go ahead and do the floor plans based on the pictures that you take. So that's something else that you can present to your seller. Honestly, for $12, that's definitely something that you can just, we spend worse things, do things worse with $12 than maybe invest it onto our own listing. So this is really what the other thing is, let me go back to main fields. I really needed to talk to you guys about some basic MLS rules. For instance, directions. Driving directions. You may be tempted to just say GPS, Google Mapping, MapQuest. I know. MLS rules say that you need to write out actual directions. We're not asking for a whole paragraph. We're not asking for a whole book. One sentence is sufficient. For here, you could just say, get off on Atlantic, make a pass Swinton, make a left on First. We're there. That's it. But just don't put in GPS, because if you get a notice from the compliance department, now you know why. And I know that you guys probably see these. Later on, I'm going to show you how to flag listings. We are also asking for your help to flag listings, because that's one of the ways that we can help maintain the integrity of the data. Okay. And it doesn't mean, go start telling on people. That's not the objective. The objective is just to clean up the data as much as possible. So if you find something that you feel that you need to report, you can do it.
Can I ask you a question? I'm still seeing a lot of people saying, it's listed and then you can't show it for like a week or so until open house. Are you guys doing?
Yep, there's going to be a rule that will be announced pretty soon. It's been ratified by the board of directors about that. And it will be coming very soon. I can't give you any more previews about it, but it will be very soon. We're going to be addressing that, where people just say, hey, it's active, but you can't see it until a week from now. You'll see how that rule there's going to be a video that we'll send to the entire membership. So stay on the lookout for that.
Thanks.
Something else, the subdivision name, see how because I populated from public records, it said Delray Town of. That's the legal subdivision name for this property. Do you have to use that name? The legal subdivision on your listing?
To my knowledge, yeah.
No, you don't. You do on contracts. You're presenting an offer, you have to put in the legal subdivision name. But as far as MLS is concerned, you're given discretion. Remember, these fields are treated as if they were filters. So if you enter a name that maybe the majority of the market doesn't know that area by, they're not going to find your listing. So that's where you have to exercise just good judgment, say, okay, the majority of people know this area as what? Downtown Delray, or just Delray Beach, whatever the case may be. But it also applies whenever you find those listings where you see the public record have this really weird name, like Section 3, Division 4, Plat 10, but maybe the actual name of the community is something like Delray Shores, let's say. Enter what the majority of the community knows that area by. You are given that discretion, right? Legal description, yes, you do have to leave it as is. The same applies for contracts. The other thing here, so your remarks, this right here tells you, seen by members of the public, and it gives you a reminder, contact information of any kind, don't enter it. So don't enter your contact information, don't enter anyone else's contact information, not even the HOA. The reason for that is because this is public and it can be reached by a potential buyer who's being represented by another person. You'd be doing a disadvantage to that other agent. So, I mean, I know it's great for you as a listing agent to have your contact info there, but if you're helping out a buyer, it wouldn't be fair for for your buyer to see that person's contact info. You don't know if they can go around your back, right? Speaking of people, just exercise a lot of caution when it comes to protected classes, fair housing. Don't describe, like, let's say, gender restrictions or race or things, because you'll get in problems with fair housing quick. And here's another one. Americans with Disabilities Act, it's also one that we've been noticing a lot. Like, you can say within walking distance to the beach. Well, some people have gotten sued because they've said, well, I'm handicapped, I can't walk. So just say in the vicinity of the beach, something like that. Close to the beach, something like that. Yeah. Right. You just have to exercise a lot of caution with those remarks. But then financial information, like bonuses, potential bonuses, compensation information, don't add any of that into the public remarks. You can enter all of those things except for protected classes in the broker only remarks.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
if I'm listing my own condo
Mhm.
and I want to disclose to the public that at full price offer, I'm giving $7,500 towards closing costs,
Mhm.
am I allowed to disclose that?
Yeah,
in the phone,
under
right?
broker remarks, yeah, provided that that was also put into the listing agreement, yeah, of course.
On broker remarks.
Broker
But
remarks,
not public,
not public.
even though I am an agent and I'm the seller.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, no financial information of any kind on the public one, yeah. I think that's it that I had just as a general, best practices when you're entering listings. Everything else, quite honestly, is just going to be reading each field, seeing what it needs, selecting the appropriate options, and please make sure that try to fill out as many fields as you can. Don't go through just the required ones, because when you do that, you don't know if you're doing your seller a disservice by not enabling filters that other people could potentially use. Do you guys have any questions? As
Yeah, I
far
have one
as,
more.
yeah, sure.
So for broker distribution, is it automatically preset to just allow all of the advertising to be done online unless you check something off?
Yeah, all of the, by default is set to this, as you see here. So it's saying distribute to all of these websites here. You can add additional ones, but if you are going to exclude, you have to check on the top ones.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But if you don't check, it's automatically preset to just
Yeah.
do it.
And just remember, this is something that when people are filling out their listing agreement, they're in there.
Yeah.
So if you're asked, if your seller is reading it with you and you're like, what is that? Now you know what is that, because it's on the paper form itself too. Yeah. Cool. We're going to do some basic things when it comes to searches. You guys have probably already done your searches, so it's not like I'm going to bore you with really basic things. First thing is, so once you go into the quick search, you can set up your own search formats. Let's say that you're doing residential searches, but one of the filters that you want to add is the one about membership requirements. Especially down here, the friends in Boca with their membership requirements. So you could add that field to the search. Just type it, it's very easy. Membership fee required, cool. But what if you don't want to have to enter that filter every time that you want to run such search? So you can save that as a quick search template. Has anyone here done that? No. Once you have the appropriate filters, what you want to do is you want to go to save, and then you're going to do this save quick search template. So you click that, and then Flex is going to ask you, hey, enter a name for your template. So we're going to call this membership required searches. And then you confirm the property class that it's for. In this case, it's for homes, so residential. You click save. And then when you want to use it, when you get to the search, you're going to go here to your current property class. That's going to show you all of the categories that are available, but you're going to go towards the end. So click here, go towards the end, and then you have your membership required searches. So that's going to enable those filters that you necessarily don't want to have to put every single time you want to use them. They're not going to have any filters, or I'm sorry, any criteria. They're just the filters themselves, so that you don't have to remind yourself what you add. The other thing is, if you guys use the Flex MLS Pro app, towards the top, when you get into the app, you're going to hit the property class. Whatever you created in the desktop mode will appear also on the cell. Yeah. Other things to consider, map-based searches, those geometric shapes are very useful, especially the polygon. I'm sure that you've used it by now. There is a feature in here that is called Nosy Neighbor. Has anyone played around with it? It's literally, if I go here, watch how it says Nosy Neighbor. What Nosy Neighbor, when it's enabled, allows you to do is to look at public records data and even MLS data for that parcel. So let's say this address here. I mean, I could find it by hovering over it and zooming in, but if I want to have it as a reference point, there's this little thumbtack. So you click the thumbtack and it asks you to enter an address. So you can enter a reference point. You could just say something like maybe a school of interest, maybe your buyer wants this specific school or work or whatever the case may be. So here's what 134
Northeast first.
Northeast First and Delaware. Okay. Oh, Florida. There. So when you do that, Flex will find that address. But if you have the Nosy Neighbor tool on, watch how I can click this and click on any parcel. So I click on that one, and it's going to not only map the edges of it, but it's going to tell you any listing activity the property has had in the last 20 years or so. And then if you click IMAP tax info, it's going to show you the public record of that parcel. So you can really be a nosy neighbor with this, yeah. And a lot of people do this for prospecting. So it's really nice. Oh, this is Daney, hold on, Del Rey. Turns out that they're 134 Northeast in Daney. So like the neighbor next door, I wonder what their name is, so I could say hi. There. So if you ever wanted to pull up a public record within Flex MLS, here, obviously pretty self-explanatory, IMAP tax info. If you're within a listing, once you access that listing, there's going to be an option for you to click on IMAP. And have you guys played around with IMAP? I hope so. I hope so, because it gives you a lot of great details as to property owners and things of that nature. But I wanted to show you that. The other thing, and her name is Karen next door. This one, anyway. What else? Schools, school-based searches. Do we know about those? No. Has any buyer ever asked for a specific school for you? Yeah. What have you guys done about it?
And the search location address, just like put the name of the school.
Okay, here's the thing. Here's something I want you to consider. Let's go back.
Just add the field with like elementary, middle, or high and put the name.
Let me show you something. So my incomplete listings. Here's the one that we were doing.
Oh, you're
Edit. Listing information. Main fields. Okay, here. Directions. All right, schools, right? Right away, what can you tell me about school information? When you're,
it's not in red.
it's not red, it's not required. People can just skip it. Why isn't it required? So this actually went up to a vote with the MLS committee. MLS committee are your peers that are signing up for the committees to make the rules of the MLS. If you guys ever wanted to be part of any committees, like to actually make decisions for the board, if you're ever interested in doing that, there is a committees button right on your dashboard, and you can sign up for committees. This is the first time in years where the MLS committee actually has some open spots. Typically is the one that everyone wants to sign up for, but this year it's been different. So food for thought. But anyway, so the school information is not required. The problem is that if you were to run a search and you enter as a filter the school, you now don't have the certainty of whether or not the school information was added to that listing. So what you could do, in case that you're giving a specific public school, and it only works for public schools, is that when you're in the map, let me just zoom in some. Okay. There is a feature called overlays in Flex MLS. What overlays will do is it will show boundaries of things right above the current map view. You could view things like, maybe you remember those area numbers that I showed you guys earlier? You can just go here into MLS, click Palm Beach area zones. The area numbers now populate, right? And then you say to yourself, okay, the area that I need is 134 Northeast First, Del Rey Beach, Florida. When I do locate, so that I can put that thumbtack on top of it, watch how when I zoom out, based on that overlay, it tells me that this is area 4360. Just like we did with the PDF manually, you can ask Flex to give you like a little shortcut through the overlays. But this is the other overlay that I wanted to show you. So if you go to overlays, let me deactivate this one, because otherwise you won't be able to read anything. You can stagger them or stack them. So once you enable something, just disable it so that it's not hard to read. But see how there's overlays for schools? So let's say that your buyer says, I have a senior in high school, but I want them to continue going to the same school so that they don't have to switch schools. Once you enable that, it's going to tell you the name of the school that area is zoned for. So at this stage, if you just want to run searches around here, you would then take your geometric shape, turn it on, and then you start tracing that area of interest. See, so this is a tough one, but I'll just be, obviously you guys have to do it much better, but let me see. Cool. And then after it's fully traced, you can then disable those layers or those overlays, and it's going to be much easier for you to be able to accommodate to the requests of that client. You know, from here, after it's fully traced, then you go here and you put in whatever it is that they're looking for, bedrooms, bathrooms, so on and so forth. Let's see, something came up on the chat. Please show them how to set up basic search, add membership 55 and search the criteria. Cool. So we'll do it with this. We'll do it with the school. So other filters in here to 55 or over. 55 or over, believe it or not, 55 plus should not even go in a listing as remarks because it's considered a protected class. So there's a specific filter called HOPA, HOPA, Housing Older Persons Act. It's a federal law. When you get here, and you go add a field to the search and you say HOPA, so you add it. There's a couple of options. There's 3 options. You'd think it's 55 or over, or it's not 55 or over, right? One of the 2. But there's 2 options for yes. Yes, verified, yes, unverified. If you've used this filter before, I don't blame you if you just went with yes, verified. But what makes a property unverified? Does anyone know?
That's a good question.
So HOPA, Housing Older Persons Act, is a federal law. Federal law. There is, the state of Florida does provide a website where they can see whether or not that community was registered with the state. Does the community, does the property owner, property manager have to register with the state of Florida? The answer is no, because the rule is federal. It even costs money to register into the state database. And you have to go through all the government bureaucracy and so on and so forth. Some property managers just don't do it. So if you're adding a listing and you just want to see if your property is verified or registered with the state, or unverified as in not registered with the state, but still complying with federal law, on your dashboard, there's this 55 plus icon, HOPA 55 plus. If you click it, it's going to take you to this website where you're going to be able to look up your community name. If it appears here under this section called, where is it? Housing for Older Persons Act directory, should be showing up here. Where did it go? You're going to download, and then you would look up the name of the community. If it doesn't appear in this list, then when you're entering a listing, you can say it's unverified. But if it is in that database, then you can say it's verified. The only thing is when you're searching, because it really doesn't matter if it's verified or unverified, then when you're doing your search, you're going to say, I want verified, and to select multiple options, you remember you have to press a key. So we're going to hit control and select both options. Yes. When it comes to HOPA, yes is yes, independent of it being verified or unverified. Sometimes it's even user error. Some people don't know and they just select one of them. Trust me, I've seen it. So select both. The other way that you could do it, and you could do this for any field, is let's say no HOPA, but then you can ask Flex to give you the ones that are not no HOPA, like a double negative, if you will. So if you want to see those options, you have an of, by default is of, click of, not of. If you keep clicking, or, and in some of them, and. That's how you're able to set up multiple kinds. Like the washer and dryer scenario I gave you earlier. If you add appliances, so I go appliances, and I add the entire field, and I say to myself, the buyer really wants to have a dryer, and they really want to have a washer. But if you leave it as or, it's going to be washer or dryer. But if they want both, make sure that both selected options, or however many you have, are set to and. And that's going to tell Flexi we were at 110. Luckily, nothing changed, but in some cases, there are some people that are just selling only their washer, only their dryer. So, then what else did Courtney want me to do? Okay, save the search criteria. We've done subscriptions here or not? Once.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Subscriptions are relatively easy to do. We all know that the process is going through save, then you go through save search. Here's other search options that I wanted to show you. Remember how we drew this school boundary? Let's say that this is a school that we get a request for a lot, or maybe your farm area, and you decide to trace your farm area. So if you want to save the shape so that you can reuse it as many times as you want, see how it says save polygons as my map overlay? So I can go here and tell Flex, this is the school boundaries for Atlantic High School, let's just say, save. Down the road, if I want to reuse this template with some other search, doesn't matter if it's a rental, doesn't matter if it's anything else. So you guys see what I just did there? I duplicated the tab so I can use Flex in multiple windows. You can do that as many times as you want. So I'm going to go quick search. And let's say I'm doing rentals, right? What you have the option to do is if you want to bring one of those custom areas that you drew, go to here where it says location and type the name that you gave that area. So in this case is Atlantic, was it Atlantic High School or no? School zone. Yeah, school boundaries for Atlantic High School. Double click it, and now that area is going to be fixed for you without you having to trace it again. So that's going to be helpful, especially for your farm areas, or even if you have this scenario of the schools. What other things? Before I go into the subscription, I'm not going to set up well, I am going to set up a subscription so that you can see the portal stuff. Have you guys played around with the portal? Or no, maybe? Okay, we'll pretend like we're a buyer, show you some features of the portal. What did I want to show you? Hold on. Okay. Oh, okay, cool. Did you know that you can search the remarks directly of any listing? Notes, the comments, if you're looking for keywords. That's something that some people rely on just because of the fact that maybe the listing has a lot of optional fields, and you know that for a fact it's possible people are not entering the data in there. That could be one thing. That could be also because, in my opinion, 80% of agents better describe their listing on the remarks section than on the actual fields. They will write a proper description on the remarks. So if you ever wanted to search for notes within the remarks, you can add a field called remarks, pretty straightforward. So we go public remarks. And when you get here, you could say, let's say we're looking for like a fixer upper, distressed property, fixer upper, right? See how it has a dash? There's some people that don't put in the dash. There's some people that do enter the dash. There's some people that will just say, fixer upper, all one word. So whenever you're searching for keywords in the Flex MLS application, and this works for any database, you could try this on Google if you want. You're going to take each keyword and you're going to surround it with asterisks. So it's going to be like this: asterisk, fixer, asterisk, asterisk, upper, asterisk. So each one has asterisks, see? So when I click away, I'm getting 0. Hold on, let me just make this, oops. Let me just search the entire city of, because right now I'm in that school area. Okay, 4, right? 4 properties came up. And let me take away this Housing Older Persons Act thing. Okay. 26. So 26 properties that say fixer and upper somewhere in there. If I were to go asterisk fixer hyphen upper, what do you think I'm telling the Flex MLS search to also contain in the results? The dash. But what if people are not entering the dash? So if I click away, watch how we're gonna have only 6. So just use that. You can also use that for like names of communities. Like anyone here want to give me a community name?
Boca Chase.
Okay, so if I go, you go to subdivision. Where is subdivision? And I go Boca Chase. I'm searching strictly for what says Boca Chase. But now if I go asterisk Boca asterisk Chase asterisk, I'm asking please contain both words in it, independent of it saying the Boca Chase section 3, Boca -Chase. No, I'm just asking to concentrate on these major keywords. So if I click away, let's see if we have any more. In this case, no, maybe because of low inventory, but it's possible that you guys are going to see that. So use that, use the asterisks. They're going to help you uncover even more listings than prior to today. So do you know how to send listings to yourself as if it were a subscription? Like if you want to be informed of any activity that happens in an area of interest. Has anyone here tried it? No. There's 2 ways that you can do this. I'm going to go back into the home page because there's this gadget that you might want to add. And that is called a hot sheet. So let me go to the classic one. Is it in here? Yeah, here it is, hot sheet. So the hot sheet is something that's installed on your homepage. The hot sheet is going to give you up to the last 24 hour or up to the last week worth of activity in a given location. So you could specify a zip code. You could specify maybe one of those map areas that I showed you guys how to save, one of those overlays. Could be maybe a city, right? Right now, if you've never used this before, all of these statistics are for the entire MLS. But they do tell you don't work the entire MLS, it's too broad. So if you wanted to configure it, you would click on the 3 dots, click custom hot sheet. And here's where Flex MLS is going to give you the option of selecting specific MLS areas or cities or counties, or you could go through your individual map outlines that you've drawn. And that's going to give you whatever's been occurring in that area of interest. So in here, let me set it up with Del Rey so that you guys have a better idea of what this will do for you. Save searches. What did I do with it? Okay, MLS. We're in the MLS one. This is the default one that everyone gets, the MLS one. So I go here, I say custom hot sheet, and then let's just say I want Del Rey. DEL, perfect. And hit run, save, search, hot sheet. What did it, hold on, I messed up, sorry. Evans MLS. Hold on. Okay, daily functions, hot sheet. Okay, you go through here. Okay, to manage it, you go through here. You're going to then enter a specific area or city. So we'll go Del Rey, right? You hit done. And then you say run 24-hour hot sheet. But now that you've put in those filters, what's going to happen is that every time that you go to the dashboard and you go to that specific gadget, so here at the bottom, you're now going to have the activity for that given area, right? I didn't actually save it, but you're going to be able to get on the fly whatever's happened in that area. Okay, that might work for you. Some people have told me, well, that requires me to log in to Flex. What if isn't it easier to just get an email? Maybe look on it on your phone. So you guys tell me that you've set up subscriptions for other people, where you set them up on an automatic search and stuff like that. But what if you want to set up an automatic search for yourself? So if you go through quick search, and let's say that my area of interest, what's the zip code here?
33444.
33444. Okay. So we're doing a search on this zip code. Once I click or I view my list of results, we all know that the process to get the subscription started is by clicking save and then save search. But when you, and okay, let's call this 33444 contact. Are you going to specify a contact in this case? What do you think? Yourself, maybe? No, in this case, no, because here's what happens. Flex knows that if you add yourself as a contact, it's going to send you the customer reports, customer-friendly reports. It's not going to send you all of the data. You're not going to be able to look at compensation information, maybe the name of the other agent. You're not going to see that if you set yourself up as a client. So say no, okay? Then click save and add subscription. And what the option that you want to have here, when you're telling it who to send it to and how often, make sure that you is selected. You. Selected contacts, it doesn't apply because there's no contacts. But when you turn this on, this is turning on the blind copy feature, and you're going to be getting that blind copy, which shows full reports of all the listings. And the beauty about this is that it's automatic. You're going to get it on your phone. You're just going to tap on a link and it's going to show you those reports. So it just makes it much easier to manage as many listings as you want. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to set it up with a contact so I can show you the portal and the importance of you mentioning this portal to your clients, because it's not just about sending them the listings. Create a new contact. Let's say contact. So John Doe Flex. John Doe Flex at mailinator.com. Okay, cool. Okay, so it added the contact, as you guys can see. It's on the fly, pretty easy. You can enable alerts, like if the person clicked on the link and it's going to send you a link saying, hey, this person clicked on the link to view the listings. Listings are never sent as attachments. Don't forget that. It sends them to a website. Preview mode. Anyone here use preview mode in the past? Yeah. Okay, so you guys know about how many of you, ladies here, you guys know what preview mode does? Preview mode is, let's say I want to get the notification, I want to see the listings before sending them to the actual client. If I enable it, it's going to tell me, hey, there's new listings for the client. And I'm going to have to log in, click on the link and approve them. The only issue with that is that make sure that you're quick in approving them. Because if you get the notification today, Monday, and you only do it until Wednesday, your client is only going to be able to see them until Wednesday. You don't know if you have a client by then. You don't send them listings. These right here, these are your welcome messages. You can save templates if you wanted to. Anyone here save templates? Just one person? Okay. So the beauty of that is that you can have a reoccurring message that's just as simple as going to the template and selecting. Like for instance, I have this, where is it? Listing update template. Hi, these are newest listing updates from MLS. Call me if any questions. I have in the Realtor. And I don't have to type them. The way that you save them is the first time that you type them.
I recommend saving them.
Yeah.
Use them all the time.
Save them. So like type in whatever it is that you want to say. After you're done typing, click on Save as New. And in there, give it a label. The label is what's going to pop up down here. So like here, I have all of them in Spanish because I typically teach Flex in Spanish. This is the first time I'm teaching Flex in English in years. But I keep up, I do it in Spanish, don't worry. But all of these templates are in Spanish. I did have this English one, but you get the idea. Save as many as you can. Okay. It makes it much quicker to set up one of these subscriptions. So after this, you hit save. This is the one part where we've been getting some support calls. You want to send the listings right away. So in this case, the listing produced 30, or the search produced 43 results. You can choose the listings to email if you want to pick and choose, if you have a picky buyer. If you hit do not send listings now, Flex won't give you an option to send those 43 again. And that's one of the calls that we get all the time. It's the way that the system was designed. That's the only thing we can say. So when you get to this screen, either choose listings to email or email whatever the search found. Because when you save, you're just saving the criteria. But now what about what you found? You have to do something with it. So either email it now or choose. I'm going to email all of them now. And then the same process applies. Selecting the contact, you can send a copy to yourself. Here's those templates again. So the template for this message, especially if it's a first buyer, what do you want it to say? Like what would you type in it if it's a first time client? Like a welcome, like, hey, welcome. I'm about to start sending you listings. They're going to go through a website called the portal. You're going to have the ability to tell me which properties you like, which ones you don't. And you guys might be able to think of ideas of crafting that welcome message when I show you the portal. But type something up, because I see many agents that see this blank and they just hit save, but it's just like a dull message. Personalize it if you're able to. This you can disregard. See where it says version public? Some people say, oh, you know what? I'm going to send my client all of the information. So they go private, right? This doesn't do anything because everything goes to the portal, and the portal is going to strip away any private information. So don't worry about this. You can suppress open houses. So if you don't want your clients to know of any open houses of those listings that you're sending, just make sure that you select this. If you don't want them to see any attachments, you can also suppress that. So you have those options, but by default, they're going to be checked. Okay. And then this signature here, I'm going to show you guys how to personalize them. Has anyone here uploaded their headshot? Or yeah, you've added your certifications, all that stuff. Okay. Well, seems like the majority of you know how to do it, but okay. So I'm going to hit email. Perfect. Return to the search results. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up that portal, because this is kind of the education that you want to be giving your client. I can't tell you how many people don't know what the portal does, and it helps them out a lot to find out information about their clients. So I'm going to go to, let me see if there's anything on the, okay, nothing on the chat. So everyone at home is good. Mailandnader.com. So from what Courtney tells me, everyone here is just getting started. You guys like it so far? No, you've been around for a lot. Your refresher course, if you will. Cool.
Things change.
Yeah, they do. While I'm pulling this up, so we reopened our offices to the membership. So you're able to stop by anytime. You don't have to do an appointment anymore if you need Supra or something like that. And we're going to start in-person classes for MLS products pretty soon. Right now, we're doing the as-is contract updates. You guys aware of those, what they are? Okay, if you need to do a refresher, we are doing them virtual, and we're also doing them in person. So you're able to do that as well. Okay, John Doe Flex at mailandnader.com. All right. So the first thing that your buyer is going to receive, your new client, they're going to get this new listing updates from Ivan Hernandez. This is like an invitation for them to join the portal and also to approve that you can send them listings. By federal law, we have to send them some sort of link that says, yes, you can continue sending me reoccurring messages. So this is the first message. If the person says, yes, please send me listings, they're going to be approving, right? If they don't click on this, let's say that they ignore this message and they just click on the other one, mail for whoever, it says, follow this link to see the page. And maybe the client clicks on this and they view the listings. Them clicking on this link acts as that approval as well. So it's either or. Doesn't matter which one they click. It even reminds them, hey, you have 30 days to approve this. If they don't approve it within 30 days, then the search is going to go dead on its own. What happens if it's like a week and you haven't heard from your client? How can you even tell if they even went on the website? There's ways to do that. The first way, let me show you. You get the email if they click on it. But what if they don't? What if they went silent? If they went dead? So you're able to find out if they even clicked on these approvals, because in Flex, there is this section here called opt out, and it's in the menu. So you go to menu and under contacts, See where it says opt-in status? So you click on that, and provided that the person didn't click on any of those either two links that I just showed you, where it says pending opt-in, you're going to see their name. So you can either resend the request, if anything, check the email address to see if it's the right email address, because it could be a typo. Or it could also be the fact that it got stuck in spam. And that's really up to their own security settings. But at least with this report, you can even tell if they even remotely clicked on the approval link. So I'm going to click view listings. Just remember the version that you get, the copy, if you enable the copy for you, right at the very top, I'm sure you guys have seen this. It's in yellow. It says agent copy. Your client doesn't get this. That's yours. Don't click on this link. Click on the one that Flex on the email is telling you to click on. Because if you click on this one, you're only going to see customer-friendly reports. Okay, so I click on the link. Everyone by default has this kind of access. Let me show you the access they have. So they can see the listings that you sent. So all they do is, they click on a listing, they look through the information that's on the listing, they can scroll through the pictures. Pretty self-explanatory what they can do. But if they click contact agent, it gives them a form. And it gives them a form for them to enter their name, email, phone, message. See how I'm up there? Your picture and your name will always show up there because it's your access. You're giving them access to this website. So that's where your name pops up. Many realtors have told me, oh yeah, my client thinks that that's because they can contact the listing agent. No, this only contacts the person that the email came from. And then it would be your job to find out, to liaise with the other listing agent about details that the buyer is asking for. See how there's a star and there's like a don't prohibited sign? If the person were to click on it, it's going to prompt them to do the following. It's going to prompt them to create a portal account. Please recommend to your clients to create portal accounts. Please, it's easy to do. All they have to do is type a name and their password, and then they just confirm they're not a robot. This has a couple of benefits. So it lets them pick out the properties that they like. It also lets them go into the Flex MLS for home buyers app. With that same login, now aside from just getting an email, they're going to be getting all of the listings as notifications on their phone with the same kind of access. And then they can access this portal. So even if they don't have their phone on them, even if they don't have their email on them, if they go to so this is a public facing website, it's my.flexmls.com. There's going to be a login option here at the top, and the client with their email and their password can see any listing that you've sent them in the past. So those are the advantages of registering, but they have to register. You can't register. They have to register. The best you could do is invite them to register, and that's something that you do on the subscription when you're setting it up, but they have to register. Please just remind them to register. It's going to help them out a lot. Let me register this.
Will they only be able to see listings I've sent to them?
So this is what we're going to do. So let me register the account. John Doe Flex and password. Let's just do something easy. I'm not a robot. All right. Confirm. Okay. Password. Whatever. Okay, so after they register, typically their login is going to be saved as a cookie on their computer. Provided that they don't clear their history, they're not going to have to re-enter those credentials every time. When they pop it into their phone on the Flex MLS for home buyers app, it just keeps them logged in, so easy. And every time that you send them an email, because their login is typically saved as a cookie, then every time that they look through listings, they have the option of now saying, hey, this is a favorite. I don't like this one, right? So they start creating preferences. And this is going to help them because if they go to where it says saved, they're gonna be able to look at properties that they've saved or properties that they hid and maybe they changed their mind. Imagine if this wasn't available, they would have to jot down each address and each MLS number of a listing that they like. So this is a convenience for them. It's also going to show any searches that you've done for them. But in my opinion, the biggest feature that the portal has, this is only available if they register for it, is this up here. Find an address or MLS number. They're able to run their own searches in MLS. Any listing, as long as it's an MLS listing, they're able to find it. So here they could add an address, they could put in an MLS number if they already have it, but they could also go up here to search. And under search, they're able to enter filters, just like they would on any third-party website. They click filter, they say, you know, I'm looking, maybe they didn't tell you that they're also looking at Boynton, but they're afraid to tell you or whatever. Maybe you haven't been available, which you should always be available for your clients. Boynton, okay, so I go to Boynton, I hit done. Then features, I'm looking for an active property. Maybe I'm not looking for residential income. Maybe I'm not looking for business or land or commercial properties or even rentals. So maybe I'm just looking for houses. So these are the same filters that people already know how to use on third-party websites. You know, there's really not a huge learning curve here. List price, let's say they're looking anything from 300,000 to 500,000. And they're looking for 2 to 4 bedrooms. So almost the same filters. They don't have all of the filters that you guys have. Like really, really complex searches, you have to do them for them, but these are the basic ones, basic searches. And once they click on view the amount of results, when they see a listing, you're gonna notice how even though you didn't send them these listings, the name of the listing agent will not be found anywhere in this report. Doesn't show the name of that listing person. If they want to get more information and they're tempted to press the contact agent, and many buyers say, oh, listing agent, right? But when they click contact agent, look who comes up, you.
But they can find them.
But they can find.
Go to Zillow and they put the address, they will see.
They could. I'm not gonna say that they can't, but and this is the reason why also I think it's important that you promote the portal, because you could say, look, Zillow, Realtor.com, you know, they're websites that are out there. Sometimes they don't have the most up-to-date data. Like there was a meme released the other day of someone who entered a listing in the Zillow, and the front picture of the property was the house where Family Guy lives, Peter Griffin, the cartoon, and they entered that into Zillow. You can find it in Zillow. So tell me, you know, that's not reliable data. You can't do that in the MLS. So tell them, hey, through my website, you can say it's yours. Through my website, I'm giving you access to the MLS. If anything comes up, feel free to text me. I'll be happy to set up a search for you, but you can also do the same you have the same kind of access on my website.
So just tell them to download the app. Basically.
Or download the app. They can just run their own searches on their app.
So I guess maybe I'm just misunderstanding something. Once we're already sending them properties, right, on like a safe search.
Yeah.
The minute they go on the app and sign up, how does it link that I'm working with them, or it doesn't? They'll just have access. I mean, how?
Yeah. So when the portal is created and they register,
yeah,
they're gonna Flex on the back end knows that the invite came from
I
you.
got you. So they associate the email where it came from you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happens when they click on the star favorite? It's only for, can I see that?
That's what we're gonna, you guys are gonna see how all this stuff that I'm doing, like, let me write a note, message. I found this myself. Let's go see it this week. Send. Okay, so the person just sent you a message. I'm gonna show you where you guys are gonna get all of these messages. But first thing, promote the portal. Lots of features for the clients, lots of good things for them. Now, as far as you, where do you see all this stuff? Earlier, I showed you the whole opt-in status, you know, for that activation link. The next place that you could start is by going to their contact list. So every person has a contact record. That's the only way that you're able to set up a subscription. They need to be a contact. So if you go to your menu and you go to your contact management section, see how I use it a lot, so I have it as a favorite. But you click contact management and you open up that contact card. So here's John Doe. open up the person's contact card. Basic details, first screen that you see. If you need to modify anything, pretty straightforward, just go to edit contact, make the change. If you're done working with the person, you could remove the contact altogether. Not that many people do that because you always say, well, you know, what if this person comes back to me down the road? Keep the contact record, makes sense. But if you already found them the house that they want, you could deactivate the record. And that just puts it like in like holding pattern so that it doesn't send anything anymore to them. They're deactivated. If you want to transfer the contact record to a colleague, like maybe you guys are members of a team or something like that, and you want to share it with someone in your team, hit transfer and then look up your team member's name. But as far as how does Flex track things? First, the activity tab. The activity tab is going to show you their activity for the past 30 days, not including today. So that's why there's no activity there, but that's because it doesn't include today. And I just created this content. But you'll see how it gives you like a graphical view of how engaged they are. So that tells you if they're engaged, if they're not. You can also see the times that they viewed listings and how many times, which listings did they see. So it turns out that they saw this property 2 times. Turns out that they saw this property 1 time. And it'll just keep a counter of how many times they go into a listing. So obviously the higher the number, the more interested that they are. Pretty easy to understand. They could also, in some cases, doesn't happen too often, but they could even get you a lead. If I'm a buyer and I really like this property, if I hit the share option, this right over here, I can email the listing. And what's going to happen is that when you go to the contact record and you look at share listings, you're going to be able to see the listing that was shared and the email address to who it was shared. So this is something that you can also promote. Hey, through my website, in case that you have a friend that might be looking and you see something that catches your attention for them, feel free to send it through share. But yeah, promote that as well. For these to generate, it doesn't require registration. These will generate independent of whether or not the person created an account or not. Okay. But now if they do create an account and you want to see even more details, if you go to where it says portal, that's where it tells you whether or not they activated. So if it's set to on, obviously they registered. And here's where you can see those listings that they saved. So you would go to saved, or you would go to the hidden ones. You could clear them if you want to clear whatever it is that they saved. But once you have that access, when you open up a listing, you're going to be seeing the full report. So like this one, this is the one I favored. Here's the listing. This is the full report of the listing. Look, I can see commission amounts. I can also see remarks, broker remarks, so on and so forth.
What's the 3 stars?
The one, I'm sorry? 3 stars is, so if someone likes a listing that much, let me go back. So I'm in the portal again. If someone goes to their saved listings, to start the process, they would click here. But if they saved it and they look through their saved ones, they could say, I really like it. Because when you're in saved, they could say, oh, this one has 3 stars. And this one has 2 stars. So, I mean, I don't really go through the process of explaining the clients and buyers the 3 stars part, because I think that might confuse them. I just say, just click on the star. And that way, that tells me that they liked it. Let me go back to, okay, so let me go back to the contact record, return to contact management. In here, remember, we created a search in Boynton. The only way for them to do their own searches is to activate the portal. So once that portal is active, see how it says portal save searches. They have the option to save their search. But if they don't save it, it tells you most recent unsaved search. And it gives you this link, view search parameters. So when you click on it, it's going to tell you those filters that they used on your website. And now you know that they're searching in Boynton. So either, you get ready for any potential questions about Boynton, or you bring it, in a non-threatening manner. Don't say, hey, I noticed you search in Boynton using my website. Why didn't you tell me? That's going to scare them away. But you can bring it. I can tell you this one agent gave me this great idea years ago when I started teaching Flex. I think I like the idea. He says, look, the way that I bring up any searches that they create in Flex, is I say, hey, customer, so recently we've been adding a lot of listings to sell in the Boynton area. I know you told me Del Rey, but I don't know if you've ever given it a thought to live in Boynton. A lot of good deals are popping up. And then that's how they open up, or one of the ways that you can get them to open up. But at least you get to see what they're searching for, and you get to see those results. And then from here, you take it from there, set up showing appointments, print out listings, whatever it is that you want. But just please make sure you're promoting that portal, because if they don't register, they're going to be missing out on a lot of features, and so are you. Okay. Any questions so far, guys? No? All right. So the last part, the last 20 minutes, we're just going to focus on like statistical stuff. This is going to help you tremendously when you're analyzing a lot of listings, maybe prior to presenting offers, or maybe even creating CMAs, things of that nature. The first couple of tips that I can give you as far as your CMAs are concerned. So let me just close this out. And let me pull up I'm going to pull up that property I just did, the lady here next door. Quick search. View map. All right. Okay, it was 134 Northeast First, right? Del Rey, Florida. There. Okay. So these are some tips that have been given to me by actual appraisers. Obviously a CMA is really not an appraisal. That's the first thing. That's the first misconception that many people think, oh, a CMA has to be as precise as an appraisal. No, it's really an educated guess as to how much a property is worth. So, okay, I'm in the wrong one here. So we'll cook this one. Okay, so this property here. Okay, so once you have the public record, that's a good place to start. Things to keep in mind when you're looking at the public record for analysis of comparables. So a comp is something that's comparable, that is similar. It's not going to be a mirror image of the property of the one next door. But you could use ratios of up to plus or minus 15% on the square footage of a property, like lot or like living area, because it's going to be very, very difficult for you to find a property that is exactly 9,639 square feet and a property that is exactly 3,536 square feet. But imagine if you were to go plus or minus 15%, now you're giving yourself a ratio where properties are similar in size. Are you going to want to go 15% right off the bat? No, you're going to want to go low. You're going to want to go plus or minus 5% from this value so that the properties are as similar as possible. The reason why I mention this is because many times the bedrooms and the bathrooms that you see on a public record are not reliable. There's some jurisdictions that do not require property owners to indicate the distribution of the home. This one is one of them. Someone could just call, the property owner could just call Papa and just say, hey, my property has 7 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. Papa really doesn't care. Papa cares about the living area and the building area and the square footage values, because that's how they also generate tax bills. So that's important to keep in mind. If you are, okay, so you get the details and let's say that you're going to run a CMA on this. You start by entering those filters, and you would go, in this case, I would go square foot living, and I would say minus 5% here, plus 5% here. Let's say that you're starting really low. So that's where you would need a calculator to go calculate 5% under, 5% above. But I see many people starting off with the distribution that their seller tells you, a 3-2 maybe, but how can you tell how much the market is paying per square foot? And that's one of the biggest indicators of how much a property is worth in the current market. If you say only find me properties that are 3.2 under total bedrooms. But what if that subject property, the bedrooms are really small, but they're still 3.2, and I'm comparing it against maybe a property on the other side of the street where the bedrooms are huge? You're really not taking into consideration the price per square foot of that the market is willing to pay. So that's the first suggestion when you're doing your comparables. As far as the area of interest, there's many people that rely on the name of the subdivision. They type the name of the subdivision. I would always go with the map, quite frankly. And you're gonna have to trace the area of interest, because when you trace the area, and let me see if I can get away from this. When you trace the area of interest, independent of what was typed into a listing, maybe the folio number was wrong, or maybe the subdivision name that was used was the legal one, whereas you're using the market one, the one that the market knows the area by. There's less potential for error if you just trace the area that you're wanting the comps to come from. So that's the next suggestion that I have. Then the other suggestion is, let me think. Yeah, analyze the listings, use the ratios. Oh, statistical analysis, very, very important. So when you have a list of results, and I'm just going to choose some listings around here at random. Statistical analysis and time frame. How far out should you go in a CMA?
1 year.
1 year,
6 months.
6 months, 3 months. Okay. So the first thing is, the closest to today's date, the better. Because obviously that's how much the market is willing to pay for a property today. But then, for instance, he said a year. Well, was the market the same a year ago? Definitely not. And that's where you guys have access through your Realtor dashboard to pull a quick market statistic option that you can even use for your own marketing if you wanted to. Has anyone ever used the market stats? If you go to market stats, check this out. It's going to be literally 3 clicks to generate statistics for Del Rey. So it opens up. I select the county. Then I select the city. So Del Rey, somewhere in here, here it is. And a PDF comes up with the stats for August 2021. Keep in mind, statistics are aggregated every 22nd of each month. There has to be 3 weeks that pass by for all of the statistics to be acquired by the Florida Association of Realtors. So that's why, because today is the 18th, we still don't have September. That's why the last month is August. But right off the bat, you can tell, okay, from 2021 to 2020, notice how the median sales price shot up 30%. So if I'm finding through Flex that the comps are 500,000, right? But maybe I'm looking back at a year. I don't know if now the market is willing to pay 600,000, 650,000. So that's where stats are very, very important. And this is a quick way for you to generate those stats. As far as being able to control the date, you do have options. So in here, if I go to status, what status would you choose for your comps? Close, pending, why pending?
Because that shows what the competition is and what's currently under contract, to have an idea of what's happening in that area.
Is it guaranteed to close though? That's the thing about pending sales. You don't know if it doesn't close, then it throws away your averages. But in the scenario that we have right now of low inventory, you know that the majority of people that are under contract, they're going to close. They're going to figure out how to close. So that's where you could easily say pending and also closed. And you can select multiple statuses. Flex does allow you to control the date range down here. If you're following along, you could have something different to what I have. You can change how to specify the date by clicking on these arrows. So the arrows will let you change days or let you change specific dates. You could even do specific months. So for instance, if I just want to go back 3 months and I just type 3, go to where it says days and now change it to months. So you guys have the option to do that. But once you reach the list of results, then when you're setting up a CMA, please go through every comp. Please go through red flags. One thing that I can tell you that has been approved by the board of directors is there have been some listings where the individuals have removed the pictures except for the first one. Just citing secure or privacy concerns by the new buyer. There has been a revision to Flex MLS where if you close a listing and you still want to preserve those images or what you want to make those images private, when you're closing out the listing, you can tell Flex which ones to keep private. They will still be available to the entire MLS. Because one of the things that brokers teach, including us at the association, when you're going through comps, is to look through the pictures. Because many times you want to make sure that there are comps that are the same in style and utility. How can you prove the style? Can you look at the style of the interior through a public record? It won't tell you any cosmetic upgrades. And if your seller is telling you, I upgraded to marble floors, I upgraded to granite countertops, you're going to want to find comps that have that similar description. And the best way to do it is through pictures. So that's why the board of directors approved to make it a penalty if you remove pictures of your listing, just because it was being a main disadvantage for everyone else. Maybe not to your buyers, but for everyone else, yes. And that's why it can at least be kept private.
Is there any kind of AVM of MLS that go to market?
There are other features. I'll give you homework, if you will. If you're curious, there is a feature called RPR that does have a realtor's valuation model. How much time do we have? We have like 11. I'll show it to you guys. I'll show it to you guys real quick.
Like if you need to give it
Yeah,
on the spot, like give someone an estimation of what is the
you can do an
consensus.
estimate. But with CMAs, I would to create a good CMA, take your time. Take your time because you have to go through the comps, read the notes, read to make sure that there's no red flags in there. Distressed property, imagine including that. That's going to be a bad apple on your averages. If you wanted to generate like quick averages on the fly before creating a full CMA, to create a full CMA, you have to select all of them. Select all of, or however many listings you want to include as comps. So let's say I go with these 3. I would go to the selected option right here, and then I would start the process by clicking CMA. But there's a couple CMAs. You could say, okay, you selected. Yeah, that's what I want. Flex is going to give you 3 options. You can do a full one, and a full one is going to give you graphs. A full one is going to allow you to create adjustments. So if you had to choose a property that might have been a little bit too big or too small, you can adjust it based on price per square foot. You could do a statistical CMA, and this just gives you your averages. So if like if the seller or the buyer just wants to know averages, medians, you can click on that and hit next step and it'll print out right away. But if you wanted stats on the fly for yourself for this set of results, see there's a compare option here. If you click compare, you're now able to look at, based on these set of results, what's the average, median, low and high of just these listings here. So based on this search of just these 3, the median sales price is going to be 700,000. The average is 711. So it's fairly close. That tells you that there's no outlier. So that's pretty good. If you go back to the full results and you want to just look at all of them, run the comparison statistics there. And if anything, you guys can print this out, print out those analyses. This is useful. Yeah, okay. In the terms of the CMA for a seller, create the full report. But this is useful when you're about to present an offer, because you can then do comps on whatever your buyer wants to present an offer for. And if your buyer says, hey, no, let's just present 650, and you did an analysis of similar properties to the one that they want to buy, and your statistical averages are telling you that, the median is 650 and they want to offer 650, you're in good shape, right? But, if you go through the due diligence and you select each one and you see, oh yeah, these are the closest one to what my buyer wants to buy, and you look at the median being in the 700s, tell your buyer and show them the stats. Say, hey, look, okay, I know you want to present 650. Everyone's time is valuable here. My stats are giving me 650. I analyze properties similar to yours, 650. I don't think that they might take the offer. Do you want to go to 700? Do you want to, yeah, and that's where you're going to be able, through education, draw some rationale to the buyers, especially in those situations where sellers are just getting multiple offers. Yeah. So let me show you that the realtor-friendly AVM, and this is something that's produced by the National Association of Realtors. So right here on your dashboard, you have this RPR icon. Does anyone use RPR? No? Okay. Yeah, you've used it? Cool. If you haven't used it, register for this. It won't log you in. It won't log me in, and I already have an account. To register for it, it's going to give you this screen. You would usually enter your email address and your password, but just click create a new account. It's going to ask you some questions about yourself. Register, it's free. You're already paying for this service through your dues. So let me put in mine. Yeah, it should be with the dash. So many passwords to remember. Okay, cool. So now I'm signed in. So let's say, you want to ask RPR to tell you what is the realtor friendly estimate. Keep this in mind. It's an estimate, so it is subject to error. Okay, let me put in the address here. 134 Northeast 1st Avenue, Delray. So you pull up the property, and then right off the bat is going to give you a report. Which is going to have the address, property summary. And then here, this is more of a commercial property, right? Is this zone commercial? Yeah, this is zone commercial. If you hit analyze, this is more of a commercial listing. Let me see if I can pull up I want to pull up a residential one.
I'll give you that.
Sure.
19520.
Yeah.
Preserve Drive.
Boca?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So we have this. See how it gives you an RVM? It's called Realtor's Valuation Model. And it says, it gives you the last time it was updated, October 5th, 2021, and it gives you a confidence level. So this right here is saying that out of 5 stars, it has a confidence of 5. But here's where you can go with that estimated range. If you want to provide maybe a range better to the property owner, you could go with that range. Ultimately, it's an estimate. It's done through an algorithm. It's the one created by RPR, which is an NAR benefit. But you still want to do a full CMA. You still want to do a full CMA and also compare it with whatever you got through MLS and see, which one works.
This home sold for $555 by young 2 months ago.
Not yet. Look, 20,
Wow.
That's a
20
big difference.
27% increase. Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, this wraps up the class for today. You guys have any additional questions or anything else that I can maybe help you with?
No, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you guys need anything, feel free to reach out. Let me see how many business. Hopefully I've run it. And obviously you can always check in with Courtney. And Courtney has my direct contact info. Let me see how many I have. Probably didn't bring as many. 1, 2, 3. I have 4. So if you guys want to have a card, feel free to grab one. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns.
Ivan,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was awesome.
Thank you, guys.
So, like you show us, see, for example, book.